Level 2, I think we should just go ahead and do level 2, right? Let's just go ahead and do level 2. So I wonder what is the kind of complication, right, that might make something a level 2 versus a level 1. Well, let's just look at that first, right? This is a level 2. So what you're going to still have, just like level 1, which is something squared equals another number, that's the same thing with level 2. The difference now is that the something being squared is going to be an equation. Oh, okay, but we're going to rely on all the same strategies that we've done before. So you might want to step back, look at that problem from the right distance, and say to yourself, hey, I know one of the answers. You look at yourself and you say, hey, one of those answers is 3 because I know 3 squared is 9. And so what that's going to mean for us is that you're going to write an equation that says, okay, so that thing in the middle, x plus 5, has got to be equal to 3. Now it's an algebraic problem, so you want to isolate the x. You subtract 5 from both sides, and you get minus 2. And we circle with the green pen. All right, there we go. So that's one solution. That's the beautiful geometric solution, right? That really is saying that you have a square whose area is 9. That means the dimensions are 3. And so x would have to be minus 2. Minus 2 plus 5 gives you 3. But there's another solution. There's also that equally beautiful algebraic solution that says, yo, hey, you can go negative 3 times negative 3. That's tripping people out who are talking about distances, because we don't have negative distances, but we do have negative numbers. And so what we got now, if I go back to this color here, is you have this other option where x plus 5, the something squared, could equal negative 3. So we're going to go x plus 5, and that's going to be equal to negative 3. Now you subtract 5 from both sides, and you get x is equal to negative 8. There's our 2 solutions. Very, very beautiful. Excellent work, everybody. The other thing you could do right from the top is you can just go over and square root everything. Right? That's the algebraic, another algebraic technique. So when you square root something squared, you just get the thing in the middle, right? X plus 5. Remember, if you square root a number, you got to give the plus and the minus, so plus or minus 3, just like that. And then you can do it in one step. Just subtract 5. So let's do it with commas, like that. So then minus 5 gives you minus 2, negative 3 minus 5, negative 8. So you can go from there to here. Beautiful. Let's try another one. All right, so let's look at this problem now. Again, we have something squared is equal to another number. Now here is not a perfect square, so it's not quite as clean. If we think about what this is saying is you have a square whose area is 22. So for that to happen, that means our dimensions would have to be the square root of 22. Because the square root of 22 times the square root of 22 is exactly 22. And so that's what this problem is going to be, is one where we're going to not have it be a nice perfect square. So we're going to 2x plus 7 is equal. Now what you do is you'll square root 22. And what do? Every single time. I mean, like, come on, man. Every time we square root, we go plus or minus. Come on, people. Come on, people. Get in the game. Now, we want to solve for x, so I'm going to do two moves right off the top. I'm going to subtract 7 and then divide by 2. So I'm going to do both those steps in one. So we've got plus or minus the square root of 22. I'm going to subtract my 7, go over and divide it by 2. Done, done, and done. It's a gorgeous answer. It's like not quite as fulfilling, I guess, as the last one, right? Because the last one was like 8 and 2 or something like that. Or -8, -2. But this one is still correct. Your only last step might be if you have to simplify 22, the square root of 22. Since you can't simplify the square root of 22, we are done with that problem. I will show you. Remember, you can also do this. You can also do this. Just put a big square root sign, right? Because that's a nice thing to remember that, the square root sign and the square are inverse operators. So that gives us just the 2x plus 7, right? Because you're square rooting something squared. And that leaves us with the square root of 22. I hope you standing up in your chair and saying, don't you forget that plus or minus, Mr. Miller. You see, you can just go like that and then do the same steps that I already showed. Huh? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And what you're probably thinking is that level 2 is actually just level 1 in disguise. It's just a level 1 in disguise. Because level 1 was already something squared. Okay, now the something is an equation. But it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I think you're going to get it. I think you are. Let's try another one, okay? All right, so a little bit different. We still have our something squared, which I've been highlighting the something part in blue. So let's go. Something squared plus 11 is equal to 27. Well, just like in level 1, when we want to isolate the variable on one side, we want to do that here. We need to isolate the thing being squared. So let's subtract 11 from both sides. And we'll get minus 11, which gets us to 16. All right, beautiful. Then what we want to do is say, oh, something squared is equal to 16. Oh, that's beautiful. What a gorgeous area for a square, right? If something square is 16, that's going to be 4 times 4. I know that. So that means x minus 16 has got to equal 4. That's the geometric solution. But we know there's also could equal -4, because -4 times -4 is also positive 16. So it could equal -4. Just add 16 to both of these equations. And whoa, sometimes it's so beautiful. Sometimes it's so beautiful. And a lot of times you might look to here and say, this thing just has to be 4. So this better be 20. Done. Oh, it could be -4. Oh, it better be 12. Done. You got any questions? Mr. Miller, how the hell we gonna ask you a question? This is a recorded video, Mr. Miller. There ain't no questions. No, something squared has to be positive. You might be in a math class that has imaginary numbers, and that's cool. Right now, we're in the real number system, and something squared can't be negative, so that's a no solution. Ain't no value of x that's going to make it to where if you square something, you get a negative number. Okay, and then the other special case is if you got something like this. Here, there's actually only going to be one answer, because 0 has no inverse. There's only one way to square to get to 0, which is to be 0. And so here, there's not going to be a positive or negative 0. So this time, you're actually only going to have the one answer. which is the value of x that makes this 0, which would be -7. That's level 2, my friends. I hope you're doing beautiful. Remember to be silly, be honest, and always trust your cape. Take care.